Welcome back, everyone, to episode 10 of the Shipwrecked series. It only took me 6 days of in real life time to bust out that grind, and now I have access to the best food in free-to-play, and I feel really ready to take on anything this game has to throw my way as far as combat is concerned. Speaking of taking on challenges, I challenged all of you to help me get to 500 subscribers, and many of you answered the call. So thank you to every one of you who has subscribed to the channel. I promised you all in the last episode that I would cut down on the rambling about chunks before we roll, and I did not forget. So all I'll say before we roll is that Chunk 1 has a small smithing grind and a bank, Chunk 2 has a few drops and a quest, Chunk 3 has an absolutely atrocious smithing grind that might end the account. Chunk 4 has a bank and a crafting grind. Chunk 5 has a lot of combat and our first rune equipment. And Chunk 6 down here, Corsair Cove, all we can do is do the next step of the Corsair Cove quest. With that quick synopsis out of the way, I will drop you off in the live chunk roll footage, and I will see you on the other side. But if I had to choose, we're still just hoping to get West Falador for the bank, for the crafting, for the furnace. But you don't get to choose in this mode. That's the whole point of it. So I'm going to click this button and it may or may not send me to a dark place for a year on this account. Find out with me right now. Whew, South Draenor. Still kind of a rough chunk for the smithing grind that we're gonna have to do. We gotta bust out 8 levels of smithing now. I have 100 and something nature runes in my pocket, and we do have a bank here, so a little bit of a silver lining. I can't remember if I had previously banked any nature runes. I don't believe that I would have, but if I did, we'll be able to snag them. We have access to our food now, all of our lobsters, and we'll see what else we've thrown in there. But yeah, 8 levels of smithing, still gonna be a pain, but not near the pain that we could have had. So let's get down and explore our new chunk. Before we get too immersed, I just wanted to take a second to ask you all to hit the like and subscribe button. It helps you stay up to date, and it helps me stay motivated to keep editing these videos. Alright, here it is, the 2 chunks, or 1.5, that are gonna cause us a pretty serious amount of pain. If it wasn't for this little chunk right here, then we wouldn't have even been able to roll this chunk. We would have only been able to roll this one, but because of this just tiny little path, we can sneak it down here. Oh man, what if this tree blocked us? That would be crazy. Hold it. Hold it. Are we there? I think we made it already. Yeah, we're just barely there. This is insane how close these margins are. We are, what? Let's unlock it and count. We are 4 chunks wide right here. So if it wasn't for this one chunk, which Mr. Speak 92 happens to also be using, and these 4, if this tree was just right where I'm standing instead, we wouldn't even be able to access this grind. But with the way everything is set up, we can. That's pretty interesting when you consider the kind of grind that we're getting into as a result of those fine margins. Oh, we can talk to the wise old man. That'll be fun. I don't know if that does anything for us, but first things first, I want to get to the bank. This is the very first time that a bank has ever been opened on this account in 11 days and 12 hours. Obviously, for those of you who have been following along, you know it's only been 2 or 3 chunks since we've even had access to the bank drop here on the docks of Port Sarim, but we have been making use of it We did level, I believe, like 25 all the way to 50 with tunas and lobsters, and cooked and banked a bunch of those. So that'll be mainly what's in here. Also some cosmic runes, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, honestly. I think I threw a bow in here at one point. So let's see what we got. Oh, look. This is my bank. No one can touch it but me. The bank is used to store items. Yes, yes, yes. Look at this. Oh, there's 14 messages. Yeah, we got it. Oh, yeah, I want more bank space, but not now. Sheesh. Look at this. 25 coins, which means, look, we can deposit all of our coins. And all these nature runes. And this amulet of magic. This is insane. 183 cosmic runes, 503 stews. Totally forgot about those. Anchovy pizzas, law runes, meat pizzas, a few various runes, tunas, 400 lobsters, steel plate body, oak longbow, and we just threw those in there, and this chest key, which is for one of the quests. So this is sick to have access to a bank. This chunk comes with a pretty heavy cost, but honestly, the bank might just be worth it in the end. So, gonna do some exploring here shortly and check out all of the features that we have access to. So let's do that. Zoom, 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 zoom. Oh, come on, wall, get out of the way. You get the idea. As I get to work collecting nature runes for the smithing grind, let's talk about the 3 skilling challenges that this chunk provides. First, as previously mentioned, 48 smithing is the big one, which means I will be killing dark wizards for nature runes so we can superheat more iron ore, and that is how we are going to grind this out. Also have to get 30 range to wield a maple short bow, and I already have level 5 strength, but I will need to wield the steel warhammer as I make my way through the smithing tree. But first, this account cannot be stopped. It's gonna keep leveling. We might as well start with level 71 hit points. Feeling healthy. Bringing you all in for a little clip. We are about to get our 100th Dark Wizard kill. Boom, there it is for absolutely nothing. Epic. I just wanted to do this while I was kind of brainstorming how I wanted to tackle the big grind for the chunk, which is the smithing grind. As I mentioned, one of our goals is we have to get all the way up to... Why is that up there? We have to get to level 48 so that we can craft ourselves a steel plate body. For those of you who might not know the leveling system and the way the experience table works in old school RuneScape, you might be thinking, oh, 8 levels, that's got to be super easy. Actually, they scale. So getting from 1 to 40 like we did, we needed about 37,000 experience. To get from level 40 to 48, we need, I think, 41,000 experience. So just a little bit more. They actually scale so hard as you get higher up in level that level 92 is actually halfway to 99, which is the max level. I don't think we can do Reldo clue steps yet. We need to look into that though. So that probably sounds terrible, and I'll admit that it is, but with our newfound friends here, it is going to be a little bit more bearable. These dudes actually have a pretty sweet drop table for us. Super helpful, pretty much saving the day single-handedly. I'll put it on screen for you now. It is tons and tons of runes, and I'll also pop up the loot tracker from our first 106 kills now. As you can see, the amount of runes that we're getting from these kills is insane, and pretty decent clue scroll drop rate as well. So this is our solution. We've already got 8 nature runes from them. If we were killing hobgoblins, we probably would have only got 4 so far. There are only 2 of them. That's probably the biggest downside. I have their spawn chunks here, not chunks, spawn tile marked there. That's what those yellow circles are. But as you can see, we can one-shot them, which is amazing. And I've been doing this for 108 kills, and I think I've been hit maybe twice. I haven't had to eat a single piece of food yet. We're still at 69 out of 71 health. So I'm not going to have to worry about healing at all, which is honestly a little bit sad with all the food that we have banked. It would be nice to start using some of it, but it's great in a way that it's going to make this grind go 100 times faster. That was one of the big issues with the Hobgoblin grind, was they tore us up pretty good, so we had to go do our silly eat the cabbage, kill the cows, cook the meat, you know, like that made the process take probably twice as long or even 3 times as long as it needed to. Near the end, we were obviously doing a little better, but their drop rates, are just not conducive to stacking nature runes. If anyone is wondering about the Black Knight, he's the reason that I have to get 48 smithing, because he drops a steel bar, but it is at a pretty bad rate. Actually, no, it's at a pretty decent rate. 1 in 21, I believe. I'll double check that and throw it on screen for you as well. But the issue is there's only one spawn of him. He's right over here. There's just one, so we'd have to kill one and then world hop, which would put a lot of time in between kills. So it would be half as fast, half as slow. It would be a lot slower to even rack up kill count on them, and then also with that drop rate that they have for the steel bars, they drop one 5% of the time. So with that drop rate, we would have to kill probably 26,000 of them to amass enough steel bars to go from 40 to 48. So obviously that's not what we're interested in doing. It's over 4 or 5 times the amount of kills we'll need for Dark Wizards to get the nature runes. The Black Knights also don't drop beginner clue scrolls, which are something that I am very keen on getting a hold of right now, because if we complete enough, maybe we will get ourselves a fire staff, and then we won't have to waste all of the fire runes that we're going to get along the way, and we won't have to spend the gold to buy them from the shop over in Port Sarim. And another cool benefit of this chunk is that it actually has 2 more beginner clue step spots that we can complete. I'm not sure if no, actually, I don't think that's a thing. So yeah, the percentage likelihood that we can complete a clue scroll now has gone up, and with this grind and the recent update to make it so that when you log out, the clue scrolls stay on the ground, we are, I think, in for some clue juggling as soon as we get a step that we can do. So yeah, that's kind of a windy explanation, but I wanted to go through what I have been doing for the last hour or two and how I've been approaching this new grind that we have, looking at all the new options that our chunk has by itself, thinking of those options in conjunction with all of the different things that we have access to our other chunks to make sure that I'm not missing anything and that the grind can be as fast as possible. But I'll keep brainstorming, since it's only been a couple hours since I unlocked this chunk, to make sure that there's not anything that I'm missing, maybe in a more efficient way. But I am fairly certain that this is going to be the best. Not sure if I mentioned, but the kill count that I will need to get on the wizards to get enough nature runes is probably around 5,000. So, you know, you guys can see how fast this is going. It's not terrible, but it's also not super fast. But again, we will never have to worry about food. The bank is literally right here, so if we ever get full or do need food, we just walk right there and throw everything in. And with the added benefit of the clue scrolls, I really think this is going to be the best way. And being able to one-shot is just nice. Look, 36 earth runes. And other side bonuses, look, from 123 kills, this is how many runes we have. They're This is not bad. They drop almost every single type of rune that we can even use. So by the end of this, we will have tons of magic XP banked, tons of the ability to train our combat using magic for free. And these talismans, other side note, there's lots of side notes. This is going to be a lengthy one. If we examine these here, these 3 items, they sell for 1,259, 800, and why did the water rune not work? And 191. So water talismans, not worth it. But these 2 things, if they actually sell for that much on the GE, we have access to a bank, so we just throw them right here. And then when we go to start flipping and building our cash stack with the 5,000 kills that we'll get here, we'll probably have a decent amount of cash just sitting in the bank from selling this. So all around, I'm pretty excited for this grind. I was a little bit worried about it when I realized that I would need about 26,000 kills on the Black Knights to do it with steel, but then when I thought about it, just stacking nature runes, we already have the magic level, and started to look at the problem from that angle. I found a much more efficient solution, and that's kind of what these kind of accounts are all about. You never give up on the grind of problem solving, and you're making sure that you're always addressing the problem from every possible angle and looking at every possible solution. So we've done it, got ourselves a good old grind here, so let's get to it. On my first smithing run down to the anvil, after getting what should be all of the iron bars that I need, I have about 1,200 of them banked. And I'm going to use this anvil because it's a little bit closer to the bank, which is nice. And after looking around at all my options, I am 41 smithing, right? Yeah. I am going to be making iron chain bodies with all of these. And you may ask why such an obscure item. And the answer is because I have access to range chains, as you remember, from a previous chunk. And if I were to roll the, Western Falador chunk, where I would have to do the huge smithing grind without a furnace, that would mean I would need an absurd amount of fire runes along with the nature runes. So this is my best money maker as of right now. With the shops I have available, I could either sell battle axes or these chain bodies, or I could sell stuff to the general store. I guess maybe I should look into that. That might actually be a better sale. But of the specialty stores I have available, range chains gives the best bang for buck, although it is not anything special. So that would just help me create my cash stack so that I could buy ridiculous amounts of fire runes to go along with the absurd amount of nature runes that I would need to gather. Obviously, this chunk is to be avoided at all costs, but it is possible, and so I sadly do need to prepare for it. Let's get into the smithing grind though. Past me decided to ignore other past me, so here I am smithing iron plate bodies for 44 smithing. Don't ask present me why. This clip was a long time ago and I do not remember. Big old 45 smithing coming in. Average young level 46 smithing. Generic level 47 smithing. After all that hard work, it is time to check off the hardest and final task that I have for this chunk by making one more set of these iron plate bodies, and that will bring me to, yep, you guessed it, 48 smithing, all with no furnace, just using fire runes that I got from the Dark Wizards and nature runes that I got from the Dark Wizards. And I also bought some of the fire runes because I do have a shop. But there is the steel plate body that I can now make. And that is another chunk task complete. The account is looking sweet. Before I go ahead and craft the few best in slot items I need, let's take a look at the loot tracker. It took me 291 Black Knight kills to get the steel bars to make the gear that I need. You can see them in the inventory now. And then it took me 4,538 Dark Wizards to get the nature runes that I needed to get myself up to that 48 smithing so that we can do this. Let's open up this menu. Make sure we're just making one of everything so we don't waste our steel bars. And got to get the med helm here. That is one item off the list. Jumping back in, just one again of the plate legs. This is an item that I hadn't had access to until now. And then also got to grab a full helm. And then of course, getting ourselves up to level 5 strength, which we obviously had. We have to be able to wield that warhammer. And then here is the big one, the plate body. And that gives us our current best in slot. Although I don't believe the plate body is a part of that, just the helmet and the legs, because obviously the adamant chain body is just slightly better. So there it is. I've wielded the steel warhammer, wielded these weird piece of ornate armor that I had to dig up, and there is some more things for me to use. Not sure how much any of this will come in handy other than the steel helm and the plate legs, because that is my best in slot right there. But it's always good to get an upgrade, so I'm going to call it a good chunk. The South Draenor chunk provided me 36 tasks. I only highlighted a few of them for the video because the rest of them were very straightforward, and so I didn't feel like they were really worth emphasizing, but I will put them on screen now just so you know what the other tasks I got myself into were. All they were some various items that I could get from new monsters that I have access to, being the zombie, Black Knight, and skeleton. Here's the list of some of the harder ones. When I say some of the harder ones, it is the very common drop rate that I deal with of 1 in 128. So nothing too crazy here, and as you can see, none of this is very useful. With all that out of the way, you are now up to speed on the account's progress, which leaves us nothing to do but celebrate, thank you for following along, and say farewell until the next episode.